Welcome to the second webinar Portuguese Culture, promoted by FEUP Intercultural Contact Point. Following the first webinar about language and culture, today we propose to present Gastronomy and Tourism in Portugal. Olga Cavaleiro, sociologist with a master's degree in food history, author of the Gastronomic Cartography, and president of the Portuguese Federation of Gastronomic Confraternities, will present us the Portuguese cuisine with particular emphasis on the regional version that characterizes Porto. Now that we have more appetite, please, Olga Cavaleiro.
Well, good afternoon to everyone. It is a pleasure to be here with you today and talking about Portuguese gastronomy and the cuisine of Oporto. To illustrate my speech, I will share my screen to show you some photos. I think you are seeing now.
Yes.
Yes. So, first, it is important to remind you that Oporto is not just the city itself. There is a region beyond the city that we need to explore. And second, Oporto cuisine is not just the famous dishes like tripas or francesinha. There is so much more to discover and taste. So, first, let's know Oporto region. Oporto is located near the coast in the north of Portugal, around the mouth of Douro River. The location of Oporto is a very important information because it explains many things about the city and how people used to feed themselves in the past. First, it explains the close relationship between Oporto and Douro River and all the places that we find when sailing up the river. Douro creates a relationship between Oporto and all the places it passes through. So Oporto is not just the city, but it is a region that also includes a piece of all the cities and villages of the Douro. We find some relationship between Oporto and some cities from the interior of Portugal, like Foscoa, São João da Pesqueira, Peso da Régua, Rezende, Sinfãs, and Castelo de Paiva. Why is this so important? Because in the past, Douro was like a water highway. It was called as Estrada de Água, in simple translation, of course. Robelo boats sailed in it and they carried some products and brought others. And people from Oporto sent to those cities salt, octopus, sugar, sardines, codfish, and other fish. And from those cities of Douro came products like olive oil, sheep meat, fruits like chestnuts, cherries, orange, apples, and dried figs. It was an economy of exchange, and in this way, there was a mutual influence. So, somehow, the cities of Douro influenced what people from Oporto ate in the past. Somehow, we find in Oporto the spirit of the mountain, as you see in the photo, with the good meat, the fruits, the olive oil that come from the highlands of Douro. Here we can talk about the roasted lamb or kid with oven rice, as you see in this photo. And this recipe is made with a young animal. It could be a lamb or a kid. And the lamb or the kid is roasted with garlic, onion, olive oil, white or red wine. It depends on the cities. And the oven rice that you see in yellow is very tasty because it is made with the sauce, which drips from the meat. So we can have a small quantity of meat, but we can do a large amount of rice with the taste of the meat. And in islands of Douro, it was a dish served in weddings because of that. It is usual to find this this recipe in the restaurants of Douro, of course, because of the proximity between Douro and Oporto. Second, because the city grew around the mouth of Douro River, Oporto Harbour was the gateway of a huge trade between Portugal and other countries. Oporto was the city of the businessmen and the big companies, the trade companies. And the spirit of Oporto was trading products. Not only they exported wine, but a larger list of products like olive oil, cork, and bovine meat. Also, the same companies imported many goods as sugar, rice, codfish, and flamingo cheese. And it was this import-export business which had built a social division between the bourgeois, social class, people who had the money, and the poor, the workers of the harbor. And what people used to eat in the past? Well, they eat the same thing as we eat today and nowadays. They eat fish, meat, cabbage, fruit, breads, and all sorts of food. So let's start with fish. Oporto is located along the Douro estuary, so since ancient times the population used fish as food resource. Surrounded by coast village, Oporto had a large offer in what matters to fish. Matosinhos began to be a small village, but developed at large scale, especially because of the importance of the fishing practice. Matosinhos is nowadays a city where we can find many restaurants with fresh and tasty fish. The fish was so important in Oporto that in 18th century there was a fish market where women sell the fish they brought from the boats. The building, as you see in this photo, didn't exist anymore, but its existence showed the importance of fish as food supply. The fact is, the noble and bourgeois families could afford enough money to buy the best fish. There were important restaurants which had this expensive fish in their menus. This fish is a brûlée. And brûlée was an example of an expensive fish which just the rich could buy. Even today, in the restaurants, we find brûlées, snappers, sea bass, and other fish, especially in restaurants of Matosinhos. One curiosity I want to tell you, that brûlée translated to Portuguese, it means rodovalho, but that is what people in the north call it, because in the south they call it pregado, difference related to the division between south and north of Portugal. The poor families, let's talk about sardine now, as you see, and the poor families didn't have the resources to eat fishes like the noble and the bourgeois. They had to satisfy themselves with less expensive fish. And sardines were cheaper and didn't need special preparation. Grilled only with salt were a meal for many. So, for families of low income, there wasn't difficult to buy some sardines and grill them in the fire and eat it with cornbread. One curiosity for all, we can say that grilled sardine with a slice of cornbread was the street food in Middle Age. Workers of the port used to eat the sardine as lunch. That's why in the most popular celebration of Oporto, São João, São João celebration, sardine is the major dish. São João is celebrated in June, and that's the time when sardine is in the best conditions to be eaten. Also because near Oporto there were so many villages of fishermen, seafood was part of the meals of the rich and the poor. Lobster, mussels for the first, small crabs for the second. But we must talk about bread. Speaking about Porto cuisine, we should remind the importance of the bread. Until potatoes were brought from South America to Iberia in the 16th century, bread was the basis of the meals. Portuguese made a soup or just a broth and then sliced the bread in small pieces and soaked it with soup or the broth. That's the reason we have so many açordas and migas in Portugal. So bread until 19th century was essential in Portuguese gastronomy and in Oporto cuisine. And Oporto was on that time and still is today a big city full of people, rich families who were the owners of the trade companies and the poor families who work in the Oporto harbor. Because of the high rates of population, the city needed large amounts of bread. And in this chapter, we should talk about broa da vinci, the bread you are seeing in the photo. And this is a bread made with corn flour. Still today, it is easy to find in a vinci and Oporto this bread, which has a strong flavor and it is very heavy. It is the perfect bread to eat with sardines. In 18th and 19th century, broa da vinci was the bread of the poor. It is important to remind that corn was a plant, as you see, corn was a plant brought by the Spanish from South America to Iberia. The first crops were produced near Coimbra, and soon corn traveled to north, where the Atlantic weather benefit the development of the productions. We say that above Porto is the land of the corn, and if we go through Minho, in summertime, we find the small properties full of corn. In the past, was very important, corn was very important, because this plant has a shorter production cycle than rye or wheat, and it fed much more than wheat. So it was perfect for those families who lived with some difficulty. Broa da vinci was perfect to feed the workers who had to accomplish hard jobs because corn is heavier than wheat. It was in a vinci that the women bakers began to produce this bread named broa, and old people still remember when they went to Oporto to sell their own production. Those women took the broas in baskets and carried it in the top of their hair. It was an hard job because they had to wake up early to make the cornbread, and then they had to go to the city to sell it. In the end of the day, they were very tired. But Oporto also needed the wheat bread. The rich families in the past didn't eat cornbread. It wasn't polite to have cornbread in the table. It was a symbol of poverty. Only the wheat bread was accepted because it was white, light, fluffy, and delicate. Until 20th century, people thought that cornbread was only for the poor. It was heavy and only the servants should eat it. Because Oporto didn't have wheat production, the city had to import from Azores or Madeira or other countries like England. That wheat was the main product used to make different kinds of bread at Valongo, a city near Oporto. And since long time ago, Oporto was supplied by the bread produced by the bakers of Valongo. And even today, that bread and the biscuits, the famous biscuits from Valongo, are very famous. Do you agree? I think. Now we talk about meats, and we should also note the importance of the different cattle breeds which exist in the north of Portugal, because since the Middle Age, people came from the north interior to Oporto to sell the cows. Some were sold to other countries and were sent through sea trade, but others were sold to the butcheries in Oporto. In 18th century, we know that the cattle breeds was a relevant good in the trade with England, for instance. Portuguese people exported cows and calves, young cows, to provide some profits. In those times, the hard weather conditions and the distance from the coastline caused poverty among the population of the highlands. So the income of the selling helped to balance the family budget and solved many economic problems of that families. This trade with the cattle breeds from Trás-os and Minho helped to develop a relation between Oporto and bovine meat. In Oporto, people got used to eat that meat that Portuguese call posta. It means a slice of the meat which is grilled only with salt. It is the best way to cook this kind of meat because it is so good that we should not put any other seasoning. But in this chapter, it is important to know the most important cattle breeds. First, we talk about this animal, this breed, which is called Barrosan. And Barrosan is one of the oldest cattle breed in Portugal, and its territory is in the west part of Trás-os and Minho. There is a close relationship between the animals and the population of Barroso. It is like cows were part of the family, because in fact the family depends on the animal to survive. Cow and oxen are very big and the horns are shaped like as a lyre. It's a beautiful animal. Cattle of the Barrosan breed have light brown color and medium size. They become more resistant than the other region breeds and are well known for the quality, flavor, and tenderness of the meat. Then we speak about Maronesa. And Maronesa is a cattle breed from the limited area of Marão, Alvão, and Padrela mountains. The Maronesa cattle breed is a mountain, primitive, natural, and rustic breed. So it is very resistant to adverse weather conditions. Have the main physique special feature, it's dark brown to black hair with lighter tuft in the head, as you see. Another breed from Trás-os, and this cattle breed is named Mirandesa, and can be one of the oldest cattle breeds of Portugal. The first reference of Mirandesa cattle breed backs to the 1286 made by the king Dom Dinis. In this document, the King of Portugal recorded Mirandesa cattle in the Freixo municipality in Trás-os region. Then, Bernardo de Lima described these animals being from the islands of Miranda do Douro, emphasizing his physical characteristics as the corpulence, the strength, and the weight. Talking about Minhota, another cattle breed from Minho, and as we can see by the photo, the animals aren't so big as Barrosãs or Mirandesas, and the horns are shorter, which reveals less aggressivity, and the expression in the eyes is like sadness or sweetness. This is a very sweet cattle breed. Another cattle breed from Minho, and you will understand later why it is so important to talk about all of these cattle breeds. Minhota is a cattle breed from Minho, and as we can see by the photo, the animals aren't so big as Barrosãs. Cachena cow, it's what I want to tell now. Cachena cow is known as dwarf cow because of its size. It's very small cow. We can say Cachena is the smallest cow that we have in Portugal, and there is an explanation for that. This breed developed in the north of Portugal around Jerez, and this is a rugged territory full of granitic rocks and slopes. Because of the geography and as a matter of surviving, Cachena did not grow as Barrosin or other breed from the north. Because they aren't heavy, they are able to jump and climb in such rugged land. Of course, only the rich family had the money to buy that kind of meat. Eating Barrosin or Mirandesa or Minhota or Cachena, the most important cattle breeds that were exported to England, were just for the ones who have the higher incomes. And of course, only some restaurants include that meat in the menus. One part of the society, the rich, could choose the noble parts of the animal, while the poor only had the other parts rejected by the ones who had the money. This is a long story and tells us how food is a mirror of social division. Since the first communities and civilizations, there were differences in gastronomic habits because of the research people had to buy products. So in this case, the entrails of the animal, as the stomach, that we call tripas, was a part rejected by families of higher income. And so poor could buy it by a lower price. That's when we talk about the famous tripas à moda do Porto. And in fact, tripas à moda do Porto are presented to the public as a consequence of an order from the King John I to the people of Oporto, but in fact, its origins could be more ancient than that. It could be an habit of the population who use that what they have to make a cuisine of surviving. The myth around this recipe began with an episode that marks the very beginning of the age of discovery in the late of 14th century. They say that because they were preparing the trip to conquer Morocco, the king and his son asked to the people to give all the meat they have to be dried and salted to feed the crew during the trip. The population, proud for participating in such important will, decided to offer all the meat that existed in the city. When the vessels had gone, the population only have to cook the entrails and other parts of the cow. So the myth tells us that tripas à moda do Porto is a recipe that was created because of the spirit of courage of the Oporto population. But maybe it's just a myth and a good story to tell to the tourists and to tell to the grandchild, maybe. In fact, we should remember that the habit of eating the stomach and the less noble parts already existed, as I told you before. It was a matter of surviving, and what the rich did not want to eat, the poor use with imagination. In what concern of the recipes, we just can figure but never guess. One thing is the true, and the other is a good story, but not the history of the recipe. Also, it is important to note that tripas à moda do Porto is a dish which have evolved through the times. In nowadays, it has the stomach of the cow, but also different sausage and different meats like chicken and pork. Beans, it has beans, rice, and lots of seasonings. For example, in the beginning, tripas didn't have beans because beans only arrived to Portugal in the 16th century. So we can say that tripas won't evolve in the future. We can say that we will be an evolution in the future. Now we talk about codfish, and we know that Oporto has a close relationship with codfish. Since 14th century, codfish is part of Portuguese gastronomy. We like to say that we fell in love with this fish. And yes, it's true, because we found it that we can do many recipes with it. This fish from the North Atlantic Sea began to be very important to Portugal because it could be dried, salted, and therefore preserved during months for later consumption. Dried and salted, codfish could be transported to the interior of Portugal by the Rabelo boats. And for the people of the interior, it was an excellent food resource. But codfish has an important place in our gastronomy because until 19th century, Portuguese should obey to the Catholic calendar of fast. In that time, we have almost 150 days of fast. That means that in those days, people were not allowed to eat meat. In those days, they must follow the rule and choose fish for the meals. With a huge quantity of fast days, codfish was a very good alternative to the meat because it can be cooked in many different ways. And that is how Portuguese people learn how to love codfish. But Oporto has a closer relationship with codfish. Oporto Harbor was a gateway for the vessels which transported codfish from England or from the North Atlantic. We had in Oporto several companies which main business was trading codfish. It was so important that near Ribeira we have the Muro dos Bacalhoeiros, codfishers' wall. Through Oporto Harbor entered large quantities of codfish which were traded by the companies. José Luís Gomes de Sá was the son of the owner of one of that companies, and it was known not for being very smart to the father business, but because it had a special hand for culinary arts. After the bankruptcy of the father's business, Gomes de Sá began working in a restaurant named Lisbonense, and one day he did one recipe with codfish. It was made with potatoes, garlic, onion, olive oil, boiled eggs, and dark olives. The owner of the restaurant liked so much that began to call that recipe Bacalhau à Gomes de Sá, one of the most famous recipes made with codfish. But we find other recipes with codfish, not only in Oporto, like Bacalhau azedo pipo, a recipe that has tomato, but we find this recipe all around Minho, especially in Braga. But talking about codfish, we must talk about these salty cod fritters that in Portuguese we call bolinhos de bacalhau. And it is a simple recipe, but very important for Portuguese gastronomy and Oporto cuisine. In fact, before the arrival and introduction of potato in Portuguese cuisine, we used to make pataniscas de bacalhau, another simple recipe made with the small parts of the codfish, eggs, wheat flour, onion, garlic, and parsley. When potato came from South America, brought by the Spanish, we replaced the wheat flour for this new product. In fact, the recipe is the same, but instead of having wheat flour, it is made with potato. One curiosity for all, in the north, people call it bolinhos de bacalhau, but in Lisbon, they say pastéis de bacalhau. It's another difference between south and north. And now we talk about Lamprey, a relation of love and hate. And we say that in Portugal, we have Lamprey lovers and people who hate Lamprey because the fish is similar like is similar snake. So people sometimes don't like lamprey very much. So we should say that is a matter of love and hate. But the fact is that lamprey is cooked from ancient times, and we know that our kings loved this fish so much that all the lampreys were for them. It was a royal right. The people couldn't catch any lamprey. Lamprey is born in the sea, and then to spawn, it goes up the river. That's why in Oporto, between Carnival and Easter, people used to fish lampreys and eat it. Because it is a fish, it could be eaten during the Catholic fast. In Minho and Oporto, they cook lamprey with rice, and the blood is used to make the sauce, as you see in this photo. Another way of cooking lamprey is to do the lamprey with rice, and once again, the blood is the sauce to accompany the lamprey. Now we can present francesinha, and francesinha represents a new gastronomy identity for Oporto. It is very recent in the Oporto cuisine, and is in fact a toast with cheese, lots of meat, and a special sauce. The original recipe was French, and it was a Portuguese emigrant who brought the recipe with him and started to cook francesinha. It was an amazing success, and nowadays we feel francesinha as a dish from the city. Now we pass for the desserts, and we don't know a special cake or a special pastry from Porto, but we find in Oporto cuisine the same recipes as in the north of Portugal. Let's start with Arroz Doce, that we can translate by sweet rice pudding. We find, like in other regions, arroz doce, in fact, and it is made with water, lemon zest, rice, milk, and sugar. Above the cream, we spread some cinnamon. And arroz doce, it is an Arab legacy. It were the Arabs who teach us how to use the rice and how to cook it with milk. And because they brought sugar, well, they teach us to make arroz doce. Today, it is the most famous sweet recipe in Portugal, and it has a special meaning for Oporto. There is a book from the 19th century called My Dish of Arroz Doce, or we can say O Meu Prato de Arroz Doce. And in that book, they speak about the arroz doce and how it is an important recipe in the houses of Oporto. Aletria vermicelli is similar to arroz doce. Well, it is made in the same way, but instead of rice, it is made with vermicelli. Another dessert that we can find in the restaurants of Oporto, it is Leite de Creme, or if you want, Creme Brûlée. And we call Leite Creme to a cream made with eggs, sugar, lemon, and wheat flour. We can find it in all the houses. Is very traditional in Christmas, in Easter, so it is another dessert. Rabanada, or French toast, It's a dessert which is made when it is Christmas. And so by the time of Christmas, it is a tradition to do rabanadas, small slices of bread that are soaked in milk and then in egg yolk. Then they are fried in hot oil. This is a very famous Christmas recipe, as I said, all around Portugal. But in Oporto, because of the influence of Oporto wine, after being fried, the bread is covered by a sweet sauce made with wine, orange, cinnamon, and dried fruits. In the chapter of the desserts, we should remember also the fruits that still today come from the highlands of Douro, like cherries, chestnuts, figs, apples, and grapes. And in the past, fruits from the islands of Douro were brought to Oporto by Rebelo boats. The cherries, as you are seeing in the photo, are produced at altitude on schist soils, and they benefit from the water retained in the blades of the schist. We have cherries in Douro since long centuries ago, and those cherries are very famous in the Oporto markets. The apples from Douro are explaining like this. Next to the Douro River, we have the well-known apples produced in islands of Portugal. Here the soil is granitic, and the weather conditions make the difference to the quality of these apples. It is very important, the extreme cold and the extreme heat. In fact, rigorous winters are essential for the necessary dormant periods required for the production cycles. So the trees must sleep during the winter, and then in springtime they wake up to have the flowering period. In the summer, the warm sun allows an intense color and a good concentration of sugar. In the fall time, anyone who eats one of these apples will find a fruit of consistent pulp and sweet. Chestnuts from Douro are another fruit who came from Douro, and in the past they were brought by the Rebelo boats. Today, chestnuts are mostly related to the community celebration, São Martinho. But so, as you know, in the beginning of November, when celebrating the end of the harvest and the production of wine, people eat chestnuts and drink the new wine. And in the present, chestnuts are important just because of this celebration. But in the past, people in Oporto ate in winter chestnuts brought by Douro River. And now let's talk about another fruit from Douro, dried figs. When we present Douro figs, we must remember that this part of Portugal has a Mediterranean climate, and that is fundamental for these fruits. First, because the summer heat favored the concentration of sugar in the fruit. Second, because in the drying process, the heat removes the moisture and allows conservation. In Christmas night, dried figs and almonds from Douro were part of the meal, and I think still today it happens in all houses of Oporto. And finally, we talk about the orange from Douro. Why are these orange so special? Because it's not easy to find orange in the north of Portugal because of the weather. And second, these orange are very good because they are very juicy and have no seeds. The extreme heat conditions of Douro favor the concentration of sugars, like it happens with figs, cherries, and almonds. And so, in Oporto, people ate this orange from Douro because they were brought in Rebello's boats, and it was an opportunity to find this Mediterranean fruit that doesn't exist in the north of Portugal. I hope you enjoy this my presentation. I don't know if you want to make any question because it was a long journey around Portuguese gastronomy and Oporto cuisine. My purpose was to speak about many issues: fish, meat, desserts, bread, and fruits. But if you want to ask something, please.
I would like to thank you for your intervention. It was very rich, and I think people can learn a lot about everything you said. And it's curious that you spoke about Douro oranges, because most of the people, they speak about the oranges in Algarve, but they forget Douro oranges, known as Pala oranges, if I'm correct.
Yes, we can find orange in many places in Douro. Paula is one of the famous, but if you go to, for instance, for the region of Barca d'Alva, you can find very good orange. But the most famous is those ones you spoke, the Paula. Yes, from Paula.
Okay, thank you.
But it is very interesting because people don't know that Douro, because the weather is very Mediterranean, we can find there so many fruits like almond, figs, orange, and is a richness that we should care about and protect and defend.
Exactly. People normally are more used to see those kind of fruits in Algarve.
Yes.
Yes, but in fact, it's true. Thank you so much. Thank you for satisfying my curiosity, and hopefully the curiosity of the people that are assisting our video, our transmission. It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So now we're gonna make a short break while we wait for the second intervention of this afternoon. Okay, so to speak about tourism, it will be at 5:30. So see you in a while. Thank you.
Okay.
Posso ir?
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Professor. I cannot hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm not being able to hear you. Give me just 1 second. Miguel?
No, that's not Miguel, that's José Mourão.
Can we go to the chat to see just if we solve?
I will try again.
Well, for this second session, it is with special affection that I present the Professor José Mourão, assistant teacher at IFSET, who was my teacher back in faculty. Holder of a title of specialist in tourism and leisure, he will speak about the tourism industry with special focus in the city of Porto.
Consegue me ver? Não me consegue ouvir.
Já estamos a ver e ouvir bem, professor.
Ah, já, muito obrigado. Pronto, ótimo. Okay, where are the guests?
Eu peço desculpa. I'm sorry for this technical inconvenience, but I cannot hear the professor.
That's okay, no problem. Anna, first of all, well, good afternoon for everyone. And first of all, I would like to thank you, Anna. After so many years that we haven't been in touch, you remember me, and I'm very grateful for that. And being invited to share you some ideas of the Portuguese tourism, and with the focus in Porto. I would like to begin a presentation I made myself. I will share with you. Wait a moment. Okay, so here we are. Are you seeing? Okay, good. So when you asked me to speak about tourism in Portugal, there were many ways about doing it. So I decided, first of all, to get you a general idea of how tourism has been developing in this country in the recent years, in the last years. Then I would like to speak you about the general tourist offer we have all around the country. Then I would like to speak about the main structured tourist products, which I mean they are the most important tourist products that considering by our tourism institution called Turismo de Portugal. And finally, I will speak about some attractions in Porto and give you some recent news about the tourism in this marvelous town. Let us begin about the general approach and telling you that for us, tourism is very important. So Erasmus students, as you know, once you come, we know that you normally bring someone else. For us, it's a proudness to have you in our country. And I have the experience in my Polytechnic Institute where I teach. I have the experience that many of the Erasmus students bring some relatives, bring some friends. And so that's your contribution to visit our beautiful country. I told you that it's very important for economy because economic and socially speaking, tourism has been very important in our balance. We know we don't have like a small country. We don't have so many resources, economical resources. Basically, Portugal is rich by trade and services. So if you speak about services, we naturally include this nice activity that is called tourism. I put you some data, following the data from the World Travel Tourism Council, which is a private organization that share its studies about how tourism developed the different countries around the world. And concerning the year 2019, we see that around 10% of the GDP, tourism contributed around 10% about the GDP to our economy, which is very important. And it created around 900,000 jobs. When we speak about these 900,000 jobs, I have to say to you that these comprehend not only those that work directly in tourism, but of course in other industries that are developed by the existence of tourism. So what we say industries, this is what we call in economy the deferred and effects of the economy. Besides that, and following the same data from 19, we see that the tourism activity grew up more there than the global economy, 1% more. I mean, we have a growth rate of 2.5 in the global economy and 3.5 from tourism. Why is tourism so important in Portugal, and why does tourism contribute so strongly to our economy? Well, because our official authorities have been working too hard in the last decades. In the last decades of the 20th century and in the beginning of the 21st century. We have three main reasons that explain the success of our tourism in Portugal. The first one is the importance of the developing of the air transport. Portugal began being reached by the most of airline companies and basically by the low-cost airline carriers, which is very important for us to bring us the people with less costs. Then they can spend the money in other like a nice hotel and a nice lodgement, even if it's a local lodgement, they can have more afford to spend the money in a different consumption. After that, Portugal organized some very important events. Probably the most important cultural event we had was at the end of the 20th century in 1998, was the Hague Expo 98 in Lisbon. And all these events, when they are international, as you know, they make destinations being recognized better. Besides this kind of event, the institutions began doing promotion campaigns. But there's a big difference, and here is the main reason of why Portugal is now so well known around Europe and around the world. Till the year 2013, they used to do campaigns, promotion physically in trade fairs and tourism fairs. In this year, they completely changed their mind, and of course they follow the path of the technology, and so from then on they began doing the digital promotion, first through different social network, and finally by some special campaigns, which I would like to share you a small video that give you the impressions when you visit Portugal. It's like when you visit Portugal, it's like you feel, you experience some feelings that are recognized in the speech of this young man that I'm going to show you now. This campaign was made in the year 2017 and was made in 20 different countries. And just to tell you, this was made in winter time.
Well, Professor, I believe we have a technical issue with the video.
Sorry?
I believe we have a technical issue with the video, so maybe it's better if we move forward.
You are not listening to the video?
No, no, we are not seeing or listening.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. Yes, now? Yes, it's okay now. Thank you.
I'm really sorry.
It's all right. Don't worry.
Okay.
It's okay.
You're not seeing the video. I'm really sorry about that. Technical problems. You can see second one if you don't mind.
No, sure. Let's go.
It's a short one. It's a short one. Okay. Once again, sorry for not having seen the first part. I'm going to tell you that this campaign of the year 2017 was made by 3 different videos. This second video, as you have seen, was made basically in Porto and Lisbon. I think you recognize some of the buildings. I don't know since when the Erasmus students have been here in Porto, but most probably some of them from the first semester, or they just arrived now for the second semester. That's a question, Anna. If the Erasmus students.
Yes, I understood, Professor. I was just activating the sound. They are coming for the second semester. Once the first semester, they were online. Yeah.
Ah, they were online in the first semester.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go on with the presentation. This campaign reached so deeply and so strongly the public, the target public, that really in the last few years we have been receiving, as anyone knows, we have been receiving lots and lots of tourists. And this is growing every year. Unfortunately, this growing was interrupted by the situation we are passing through nowadays, which we hope will finish as soon as desired. There are other reasons that Portugal is important for tourism, because we have 17 material sites inscribed in the World UNESCO Heritage List. You are going to see them. I'm going to show you.
Professor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we are not seeing the presentation, but your email. Sorry.
I'm sorry again.
It's okay.
I have the presentation. And now you are.
Yes, now we are.
Well, thank you very much for helping me.
We are helping each other.
For your technical support. Okay, I'm not used. I have to tell you, last year I had to do lessons online as well, but I'm really not used to
yeah, we need to adjust.
We have to adjust to adapt to Zoom, of course. Besides that, tourism was not so organized as it is nowadays. So Turismo de Portugal began structurizing the different products of tourism. And they structured, for example, the golf, the nautical tourism, the gastronomy, and the wine. I think the previous speech was about gastronomy. I think I'm really sorry.
Okay.
I lost that presentation. There's other reason. This is the last reason I'm going to tell you about the importance of tourism, is because since the year 2016 we have been receiving plenty of awards. I'm not going to read all the complete list.
Yeah.
Only telling you that, for example, last year, the year 2020, even through the pandemic year, Portugal was again considering the Europeans' leading destination. This was one of the first reasons. The Azores Islands, received the European leading adventure tourism destination. And very close to Porto, like 50 kilometers southeast, we have an attraction which was considering a very innovative tourism project during followed years. And last year was considering the world's leading adventure tourist attraction as well. So we still this year, as you know, we received the award of Braga is the Europeans leading destination. So we still every year receiving awards congratulating our tourism.
Professor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but tell me one thing. So what would you suggest for the students that are coming now?
Yes.
Okay, for them to see, for them to why
to do
yes.
or to visit?
To visit, to do, yes.
Okay, good, lovely. So if you don't want, I can pass this aspect.
No. After that, I would like
but I have.
Okay.
I have. Okay. So these are, if you look at these flags, these are our visitors and our main visitors. Okay. The Spaniards, of course, because we are neighbors. The United Kingdom, because the British are very important. Basically because they have long stays in our hotels, which is very important for our hospitality industry. The French, the Germans, the Dutch, the Brazilians by cultural connections, And also the Americans, we have cultural connections because there are plenty of Americans from Portuguese origin and some relatives, but also true Americans, if they exist, true Americans and young people coming from American Canada in the recent years have been visiting Portugal.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, I would like to share now that we have a general tourist offer, which is very diverse. We have a very wide diversity in our country. This is how the country is divided touristically. We have Porto and the north region. We have the center. We have the region of Lisbon, the capital. We have the Alentejo and the Algarve, and the two archipelagos, Madeira and the Azores Islands. And with this small territory, which is about around 92,000 square kilometers, we have this diversity of attractions. You can see in all these lists. From marvelous landscapes, in the first, I'm sorry, but in the first video, you would see lots of beautiful landscapes along the coast, in the mountains, in the Azores Islands, natural parks, historic and cultural sites, culinary traditions and wine regions, following the idea of the first intervention of they have historical village, mineral spas as well. It's very important our wellness tourism, golf courses and so on. The first product I'm going to speak about is the sun and sea. Okay, so this is the main still is still the main reason why visitors come to Portugal. And this began in the 60s of the 20th century, when the growth of this demand began because of our pleasant climate. You know that we have a temperate Mediterranean climate. Normally in the south of the country, for example, normally it rained only and during autumn. Well, everything is changing nowadays with the climate changes, but basically are these. And we have a very long coast. We have 1,200 kilometers of coast, with around 500 beaches. So we have plenty of place, plenty of spots where to go to appreciate the sun and sea tourism. And besides that, the quality of the water is considering excellent. In a rate of 85% of all beaches is considering very good. I would show you some beaches like this, Praia da Marinha in the south de Algarve, where you can see the picture how the coast is, the beautiful, the beauty of the coast, and the beautiful of the beauty of the water. Some grottos on the coast as well, Benagil. The grotto of Benagil as well. This is in the south, in the Algarve. Let's then go to golf after the sun and sea. Golf is one of the elected tourism products because of also our climate. Unfortunately, it's concentrated in the Algarve and Lisbon, but we have been building too many golf courses. We have now around 100 golf courses in all the country. And I tell you that we are an elected destination concerning the golf within Europe and worldwide. Lots of American people come to Portugal to play golf. And then this is very suitable for those who like, but once we're speaking about students and young students, I'm sure many of them would like to make surf. And you don't have to go so far. Very close by, we have Matosinhos. And Matosinhos has a beach with like 3 surf schools. And I've seen many foreigners doing their first lesson of surf. I mean, they begin his surf right here in Portugal. I would like to tell you that there are some places very strong when we speak about surf, like Ericeira, which is considering Ericeira nowadays is considered in Europe the first world surfing reserve after Malibu in California, because plenty of events, championships took place in Ericeira. Nazaré is very well known as well because of the big sea canyon. I'm going to show you a big wave in Nazaré. We are also, for those we can afford to make a cruise, are also a tourism destinations. We have 3 different ports. The capital of Madeira, Funchal, then Lisbon, and then Porto. In the year 2015, we made a new year in Porto, in the harbor of Leixões, which is it's close to Matosinhos, so it's very close to the Porto town. We have a very nice building, which is the terminal, the cruise terminal, which every Sunday, if you want, you can go. You have to make your reservation in advance, but they are the guided tours. It's a really nice building. Yeah, that's one of the attractions I would considering for you to visit once you have availability for that. They received the prize in the year 2017. Here is the building. It's like an unrolled paper, but it's a very nice. From modern architecture, I think it's one of the nicest buildings for harbors I think I've seen lately. Besides the sea cruises, we also have river cruises. We have some rivers in our country, and very close to Porto, we have the Douro River. The Douro River has a very long valley that, with the building of some dams, has been had created the possibility of having river cruises. Plenty of enterprises have been in the market doing them. I would like to share you now. I hope there's no technical mistake, to share you that the Douro River offers you a very unusual beauty, because it is where the grapes that later produce our famous port wine are growing up. You're going to see the beauty of this landscape. And even if you cannot afford to do, now this is another suggestion for the students, if you cannot afford to go on a cruise, please take the train.
Yes.
You can take the train, which is very cheap, or even in the middle of you just join a group and rent a car and go and have a day or a weekend in the Douro Valley, because you won't regret it. This is before leaving our country, while you're staying here, and if it's the and if the possibilities and the restrictions, the nowadays restrictions allow you, please do it. This is something I would strongly suggest to do.
Professor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's a question from a student.
Okay.
He's asking if you can outline jogging areas in Porto, places when they can go for a run.
Can you repeat, please? Because I didn't understand. Tell me.
The student would like
Yes.
to know about jogging areas.
Oh, jogging.
Yes, jogging.
Okay,
yes.
good. Yeah.
Sorry, his name is
there's an attraction. There's an attraction I'm going to see, but inside of the town. Great.
Yes.
Okay. But I can answer directly, just right now, even if I'm showing later the picture of this. You know that you are allowed, even with these restrictions, you are allowed to make jogging in the city park of Porto, which is a very nice natural area of Porto with 83 acres of area. And it's the only one, it's the biggest urban park of Portugal. And it's the only one in the world that get into the sea. I mean, connected the city with the sea. They only when it finished, there's only a road, and then there's the beach, immediately the beach. So it's a very nice spot with some lakes, with a wildlife inside of it, fauna and a lot of exotic plants inside. So there you can bicycle, you can jog, make jogging, and you can even make a picnic. Picnic nowadays is not permitted. But if you want to jog yourself, just go to the city park. It's long enough, and it's a very you will breathe pure air outside of the urban pollution. That's a really good suggestion.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Am I sharing already the presentation? Yes.
Not yet, no. But this is the one about the river, the cruises. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but the presentation is not on yet.
Okay. The presentation now there. Okay. Good. Okay. So after these kind of tourism products I spoke about, I'd like to speak about some sites. Natural. I don't want to tire you, but this respects normally about art, architecture. We have plenty of churches. We have plenty of civil palaces. So these are sites that are inscribed and recognized by the UNESCO World Heritage List. So I told you there were 17 material, and we have 5 intangible, like the Fado song, which is one of the best well-known songs, traditional songs from Portugal. I will show some of them. So this was the first World Heritage Site inscribed in 1982 in UNESCO. Is in one of the Azores Islands. After an earthquake, all the urban area was rebuilt with the helping of the UNESCO funds. Also in the Azores Islands, we have the landscape of the vineyards, the Pico vineyards. Just by the way, even by curiosity, the mountain you see there, it's the highest point of our country. It's like 2,400 meters high. This is in Madeira, the forest that has at least more than 500 years, known by the first explorers, Portuguese explorers that arrived there at that island, and it's the forest. This forest is the Lauri Silva forest, and is considering a natural site of heritage. This is in Lisbon. Two monuments very close by, one from each other, celebrating the time of our discoveries. You know that Portuguese were one of the first explorers getting to know the world, the unknown world, in the 15th and the 16th century. And this is the Jerónimos monastery on the left-hand side, and the Belém Tower. Belém Tower used to be the icon of Lisbon. Normally, Lisbon was recognized by this icon. Close to Lisbon, like 40 kilometers, is Sintra, which is considering the cultural landscape is inscribed on the cultural landscape. This is a mountain. This is a town with a mountain which has plenty of palaces, castles. This you are seeing, it's from the 19th century and from the period of the Romanticism, and it's really a beautiful one, but there are plenty of them to visit. In 2019, Mafra, which is northern Lisbon, the church and the palace of Mafra was also inscribed in UNESCO. The second place to be inscribed was Évora, the historical center of Évora. This is a Roman monument, supposedly in honor of Diana goddess. This is inside of the country, in the south of the country. This is a set of fortresses in Elvas. It's very close. It's very close to the border of Spain. Has recently joined the list of the UNESCO. The Cross Convent, which is northern Lisbon, close to Coimbra, south of Coimbra, is a very masterpiece of art. This one it lies in the city of Tomar. If you have the chance to go there, please do. Tomar is a very, very beautiful. It's a medium town. It's not a big town, not even a small town, but it's a really nice one to visit. From the Gothic time, which means 13th, 14th century, we have Alcobaça Monastery and Batalha Monastery, another two pieces of art. Here on the northeast of the country, we have prehistorical monuments along the river Coa. You see on your left inside, discovered some decades ago. The historical center of Guimarães. That's another suggestion because it's so close by. Guimarães is 45 kilometers from Porto. You can go by bus. You can use the train as well to go there. So get there. And Guimarães has Guimarães and Braga. They have lots of young people there. So plenty of students. Even the university is in Braga. Guimarães has also some part of schools of that University of Braga. There, it's called the University of Minho. Last year, this shrine, the Bom Jesus do Monte, was also recognized as UNESCO. This is in the outskirts of Braga. Braga is 40 kilometers from Porto. It's another town I would consider to visit before leaving our country. Don't forget to go there. And as I told you, this is considering the most younger town where young people lives in. This is the most young district of Portugal. So please do. And go to Braga to visit. And finally, within these heritage sites, of course, Porto have to be on the list. In 1996, we received all the historical center of Porto, the bridge of San Luis, the bridge of São is no, sorry, the Lo is the first, one of our kings. That bridge is the bridge that on the upper floor runs the underground, the metro. And the shrine on the other side of Porto and in the town of Vila Nova de Gaia is also considering all that place in the historical center of Porto. They are recognized as belonging to the UNESCO. Another tourism I would like to speak about, it's the wellness. Traditionally, we have plenty of natural resorts concerning the wellness tourism. We have lots of mineral water resources, and but unfortunately, some of them are not updated. But this is a very nice example that is updated since the year 2010. Is in the mountain. Is very close by the Serra da Estrela, and used to be a classical spa, a very classical spa with therapeutical reasons only, and has been modernizing with the building of an hotel, a very modern hotel, and with a huge spa called the Aquadome. Is in Unhais da Serra, is a small village in the mountain. Well, this is for people that have some money to go, because it's a little bit far away. I don't think you would reach it easily. You have to rent a car to go there. I would like to speak as well. It's very important for us, the pilgrimage tourism. You know, and why do I tell you that? Because we are in worldwide, we are one of the main shrines. Fatima is one of the main shrines in the world. We received around 5 million visitors in Fatima in normal situations, not now during the pandemic. But supposedly in the year 1917, the Virgin Mary appeared, and in the year 2017, we commemorate the century of the apparitions of the Virgin. But it's very well visited from plenty of nationalities all over the world. This, I think, interests you a lot. Young people like nature. And I have to tell you that around 20% of our country is covered by nature protected, connecting in a network, national protected areas. We have a national park, which is the #1 here. It's called the Peneda Gerês National Park. We are sharing it with Spain, with Galicia. But you have some image, some of them very curious and some very exotic for you, for sure. There are plenty of waterfalls there if you want to enjoy a good day. And here at your left-hand side, you can see things that you most probably don't know what they mean or what they are for. You know, that agriculture people used to keep the cereals inside of these small buildings, these small boxes. They have long legs because of the rats, and the cross is seeing that is that they is kind of protection. They would like to be blessed. The harvest would be blessed. So there's one village with so many of these. It's called Suaju. So if you have any time, this national park is from 100 kilometers from Porto. So please try to get there as well. For that, you need to rent a car. So you just 5 or 6 of you can rent a car easily because it's not expensive. So try to do that. Well, gastronomy and wines, I'm not going to speak because I'm sure the first professor has spoken a lot and very well about this.
The gastronomy.
Only to tell you that we have a very great variety of culinary, mainly the pastries. You know that most of the pastries are made on yolk and sugar basis from monastic origins. We have plenty of wine regions. Wine is very important nowadays for our economy because we have been improving the quality of the wines, and we are making exportation of the wines for many different countries in the world, like here in Europe. We export too much to France, to even France, which is a producer, France, Germany, and England, and the Scandinavian countries, North America, and Canada, and the United States, and Brazil as well. Brazil, it's a good wine. Brazil is a good wine buyer from us. Okay. And now, finally, let's speak about a little more about the attractions of Porto. You know that Porto is a very small town. You can't imagine it looks like it's a very big town. No, it's a small town, only with 42 square kilometers. But it seems really a big one because it's surrounded by 5 big towns. So the metropolitan area is very big, with around 1,700,000 inhabitants. Well, plenty of history. I'm not going to speak about that right now. The only thing you already know is that from the year 96, the historical center was also inscribed as an world heritage. Has received during 3 years, 2012, 2014, 2017, has received the best European destination. And I have to tell you that last year, the year 2020 was considering the best European getaway. So for city breaks was considering the best place to do a city break. I mean, to do a long weekend, just visit Porto. Ribeira, have you been there? I hope so, since you arrived or not yet. Okay, please profit it. From the traditional, see the people that lives there. They are really common people. This area, since we are UNESCO heritage and we were European culture capital in the year 2001. Since then, all this district has been rebuilt. And you know, please sit down at one of the cafeterias there or the terrace, have a beer, have a port wine. If you want to eat, have a francesinha. So it's a very good place to be at the sun, to profit from the sunset. It's a really magical place. Any tourist have to visit Ribeira. Otherwise, the Cay of Ribeira, I think it's the most typical, I would say the most typical spot in our town. So this is something you can't skip. Well, are you interested in museums? Even if you're not too much interested on museum collections, I I'm saying seeing collections inside of the exhibitions. Okay, you don't have to, but please go to Serralves. If you go to the city park to make jogging for you or for those who are going to make jogging, please use some part of the day to visit the Serralves Gardens. We have two big museums there. The pink one here, which is the oldest museum inside of all these garden, this park. It's the Modern Art Museum, and sorry, and the white one is the Contemporary Museum. It's a masterpiece of one of our famous architects, César Vieira. And recently they made up three top walk. You can see on the picture up, which is really nice to have a view of all the park. Sometimes some pieces of art are exhibited inside of the garden. So please go there because it's very enjoyable to visit. Even if you're not interested to see the inside of the museums, please go to the park and visit the gardens because you are going to enjoy it very, very much. This is one of our national museums for those who are really interested in painting and in sculpture. This is Soares Reis National Museum. It's very central. It's a very central museum. It's close to one of the main hospitals, Sant Antonio Hospital. It's very close from very close by from Clérigos, so it's walking. It's really on the center, on the upper part of the town, but really in the center of the town. If you are interested in that, please go there. There are some masterpieces of famous Portuguese artists, painters, basically painters and sculptors. This is the new. I'm not going to take too much time of that with this, because I have to tell you only 80% of this is already done. This is a creation of our municipality. This is called the City Museum. They are building up now the City Museum. 20% is still building. What are they doing? They are connecting different museums and different sites of the town. Some very bad known. I mean, most of the people, they don't know, like some water tanks, subterranean rivers, for example, and they are building 5 axes or 5 routes, everyone with a different color, and everyone where all the points of this route is connected by a team. The teams are the sound, like you can see here, is the sound, the romanticism, the nature, the liquid, and the solid. So this is what the culture of our town is now offering. What I would say, if you are interested and discover something new, this is something new. I mean, this is a way of rebuilding. This is a way of rebuilding the culture inside of town. So it is modernizing, giving activity to the town. So the city museum is something we will in the next 2 years will be completely ready. That's a suggestion for those who are interested. Well, this is only a view. Of course, you can you are allowed to get to the some of these bridges, but you know, Porto is also called the town of the 6 bridges. From the eldest one, which is here, the eldest one is here. Used to be the railways one. From the year 1877. I'm not going to tell you all the dates. Till the most recent one, which is this one, from the year 2005. So all those behind that is here. That one, it's the new railways one. So the 6 bridge, this is the highways bridge, and also this one is an highway bridge. I think a suggestion to know better these bridges or to have a nice view over these bridges is getting a boat trip in Ribeira. Just get there. A boat trip costs around 10 euros. So it's like between 50 minutes and then 1 hour. And do it, because I think you're going to enjoy. Some of them offer a port wine. So while we're enjoying a port wine, please, you enjoy the view of Porto. Close to Ribeira, there's this marvel church. This one, which is from the Gothic time as well, is San Francisco. Inside is recognized by the gold carven wood altar pieces, which are really amazing. Even is Gothic. She's inside, concerning the decoration, very baroque, but you really enjoy, you are really going to enjoy. If you are a little bit towards the black, towards something very black, here you have a museum from the Franciscans, and in this museum you can see a cemetery with the bones of old Franciscans. So if you like necrophile things, you can see here the bones of a cemetery. But I have to tell you, from my taste, the best Gothic church in Porto is one on the left-hand side. When you go on the upper floor of the bridge of Louis I, get your left, and then you reach easily the church of Santa Clara. You have all these altars, really, and luxury, really beautiful. It's now open. Some years ago, you used to ask the key to the priest because the church was always closed. But nowadays, you can easily visit this lovely church, Santa Clara. Very close by as well. Please don't lose this. This here is the Stock Exchange Palace, built on the 19th century. And inside of it, there's this, which is called the Moorish Revival Hall. This is a copy of Alhambra of Granada in Spain, where some official receptions are made. Imagine that the president or the king or the queen of your country is coming to visit Porto, of course, she will be here to in a reception. They will make the reception here. That's for sure. This used to be, it's close by, it used to be a market for fruits and vegetables. And nowadays it's a place with sometimes there are some itinerary exhibitions and sometimes concerts of modern music at night, even techno or other kind of music. You can go there to see. This is the center of the town. You know, in whole times, we used to have gardens in these opened avenue now. This is the heart of our town. This part is called the Liberdade Square, this one, where you have the statue of the horse and a man, which was a king of Portugal, imperator of Brazil. And then behind us, we have the Avenida dos Aliados with the town hall of the city. And down of it, you have a national palace from the 19th century called the Palácio das Cardosas, where now is inside the Intercontinental Hotel. Just to pass by, I mean, there's nothing special to visit, but just to pass by, you know, you have to know the heart of our town. Unforgettable visit. We used to have, I'm going to show you after that. We used to have in Porto one icon, which is the Clérigos Tower. I will show you what is the Clérigos Tower later. But for my taste right now, I think this must be the icon of Porto. This is the aspect of a modern town. I mean, we have very old traditions, we have very old monuments, but I think we need to get to know outside by a modern picture, and I think this should be the icon of the town. This is Casa da Música. This is our music hall. A guided visit is very interesting. The project was made by a Dutchman called Koolhaas, and it was made between 1996 till 2005. And it's like our opera. I mean, it's not opera because every kind of music is played there. Lots of exhibitions you can do there as well. So from classical music till modern music, contemporary music, you can go there and see lots of concerts and festivals. Don't forget, I'm going to tell you, when the one they asked me for jogging, in a normal situation, not under the pandemic, you could make jogging here. This is the seaside walking in Foz. This is a very nice place to go, basically on sunny days. It's really nice being there. There are lots of terraces there where you can have your coffee and having some sun and getting some time. This is our cathedral. It's a Romanic building from the 12th century, from the beginning of our nationality. Close by, I didn't point out and no picture about it, but that's the Archbishop Palace, which is now allowed to visit as well, and it's a very nice place too. for those who are interested in artistic places. This is the funicular car that connected Ribeira with the upper part of the town, along with the Middle Age walls. This is a short ride if you want to see some pictures from Bridge Dom Luís and some places, but some typical places, residential places of people here. There's also another place I would recommend you because it's freeway. So to get there, this building here has got different names: Crystal Palace, Sports Palace. Nowadays, is called the Superboc Arena. Superboc, as you know, is one of the labels of a beer in here from north of Portugal, and there are some exhibitions inside. There are also some concerts promoted by this by Superboc. Before it used to be a Crystal Palace, inspired in a universal exhibition in Glasgow, but unfortunately the fire vanished all the building, and so they have to rebuild it. We also call it Rosa Mota Pavilion. Rosa Mota was one of our famous female athletes that win the big marathon in the Olympic Games some years ago, so decades ago. So there are plenty of names, this building. But inside, there's a very nice garden, and mainly this one, which I really appreciate, this one, which is the Census Gardens, this one. And from this point, you can have a very nice view over the valley of the Douro River and the other the other side of Vila Nova de Gaia. Here is the city park I told you. So this is the place where you can make jogging, okay? Free. You are completely free to do that and to come inside of the city park. So as you see, there's the ocean, and the city park gets into the ocean. So please, Parque da Cidade. It's some place where to go to relax. When the good weather will come, please go there as well, because it's very, very, very pleasant to have a walk inside of the city park. This is the surf I already told you in Matosinhos, is very close by. So if you want to learn surf, try your first lesson in Matosinhos in one of those schools there. I already spoke to you about the boat trip. You know that these kind of boats used to be the same boats that used to carry the barriers of the port wine from Upper Douro till the town where the port wine cellars are. This is another obliged visit. Get to know how port wine is made, how port wine is aged, and how port wine is bottled, and of course, have a taste of port wine. And unforgettable, this is one of our main attractions nowadays in Porto. And this is the contribution of literature and cinema to the tourism. This is Lelo Bookstore. You know that we have an English writer, you know, Joe Rowling, that wrote the saga of Harry Potter, that has been on the cinema and make this bookstore so famous that There's plenty of, there's long lines to get waiting to entrance to visit this bookstore. So this is another unforgettable visit in Porto. These are two very nice churches, is Carmelitas and Carmo, and the Lion's Fountain. Nothing special, but if you get the outside of the buildings are really nice. So you just cross it when you get to this part, because this area is very close to the gallerias where the nightlife of Porto has been growing in the last years. Here is the Cleric's Towers. You can climb the 226 stairs. This is a tower built on the 19th century, sorry, on the 18th century by an Italian architect that used to live here in Portugal and left some monuments, even in other areas of Portugal, like Lisbon, like Vila Real up north. And this is still the icon of Porto. If you compare this icon with the Casa de Música, I really would like to have Casa de Música as the icon of Porto. Cleric's Tower has also a very nice church below, where this architect is buried. Well, if you will be here on the 23rd June and pandemic is away, we hope so, it would be a miracle. You would amuse yourself too much on the street. This is our main festivity. It's St. John's Party. The day of St. John's Party is on the 24th June, and the previous night, everyone is celebrating so much. Plenty of people in all streets of the center, and it's a very, very enjoyable festivity. Unfortunately, last year we didn't assist to this festivity, and we never know what will happen this year, next June.
Well, Professor, I know Porto.
I'm finishing. I'm finishing. Sorry, Anna, and
It's
sorry,
okay,
Anna Popper as well.
the
Sorry for you to
entire-
take you so long. I know I overpassed the time.
Everything is important.
I know that. Now, I just want to finish it with these two symbols. It is not because I like francesinhas. I don't have the age to eat a francesinha. You know, not anymore. It's a very strong. It's a very strong. A very strong dish. Diga, Anna.
No. I was saying it's a very strong meal. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, very strong meal. Yes, if you are not used to it. But well, for you who are just getting in Porto, don't forget you have to eat a francesinha to taste it, and this is my favorite drink.
Mm-hmm.
I don't typically like port wine, but white port wine with tonic water and lemon, which we call it the tonic port. Do you know that's the gin tonic? That there's the very, very famous one. Huh? So we also have our famous drink. I would call it the tonic port. Do it or ask for a tonic port. I don't know if anyone have any other question. I really appreciate and thank you very much for your patience to listen to me. I hope you enjoy your staying in Porto. I'm sure you will miss it when you leave the country, and I'm sure you will have the wish to come back. Enjoy as much as possible your staying. don't forget that you have to study as well. You are inside of one of the most famous universities in the top ranking of the world, and in engineering universities in the top world of the world. So profit it as much as you can to study, of course. Do your best, but amuse yourself as well and profit of this town. Thank you again, Anna.
Thank you.
It was a very nice pleasure to meet you, even if it was
Like
it was
this?
like that, not personally.
Yeah.
Nice pleasure to meet you, Anna. I'm really sorry that I lose your presentation.
So thank you all. Thank you all for being with us, for assisting to our webinars. So we say goodbye now and see you next time. Bye bye.